Hello, my name is NG and welcome to my 11th tutorial on Java for beginners. So let's go ahead and create a new Java project. 00 no. Okay, click finish. Let's create new class with main method, and I'll call this thing for loop. And let's click on this one so the Eclipse will create. Now basically the for loop is almost similar to the while loop. The only difference that this for loop accepts 3 parameters, or you can say 3 arguments. So for you to declare for loop, you first of all use the word for, then open a bracket, then inside this bracket you're going to first of all declare and initialize a variable. Let's say int I, which is normally used, is equals to 1, and you end this thing with a semicolon. You say I is, you create another condition, or rather you create a condition that must be true for this program to run, is less than 6, and you end this thing with a semicolon, and you say I equals to I plus 1, and in here you open a curly bracket and put your closing curly bracket. Let's say sysout control space, and let's print I. Now first of all, let me explain what's happening here. Now this for loop takes the first argument, which is this argument, and this argument is the first argument that will be checked or run before this loop will run. This is the first thing that will happen before this loop will run. This thing is normally called a loop counter. This is something that counts the loop. It's just a loop counter. And then this second argument here I'm saying I, if I is less than 6. Now first of all, the thing we check the value of I and the type, and the second thing here is going to check the condition, and this condition must be true for this program to run. Here I'm saying if I is less than 6. Now do this thing. Now I'm now incrementing I. I'm saying I equals to I plus 1. This is just our normal increment. So let's run this thing. Let's run this. Right click and run as Java. So if you watch, it started at the initial value of I is 1. Then I now said if I is less than 6, increment I and print out the value of I as the program is incrementing the I. Just print out the value of I. Now because I is less than 6, if this program is running, it's going to be incrementing I. When I gets to 5, it will check. At that point, this condition is no longer true because the next value after I, after 5 is 6, and 6 is equals to 6. It's not less than 6, which is the I here. So I can also replace this thing by saying here, I plus plus, which I taught you in the previous tutorial. And let's run this thing again. It's going to give me the same result. The initial value of I is 1, and I said here if I is less than 6, increment I and print out the value of I. So as this thing is running, I, which is initially 1, is adding extra 1 to itself. It will get to a point where I becomes 5, and it will check at that point the next value after 5 is 6, and of course 6 is not less than 6, and 6 cannot be less than, and 6 cannot be less than 6, but rather 6 is equal to 6. At that point, this condition, which is this thing here, is no longer true, so the loop is going to end. Now if let's just do something here. Let's do something here. Now if I remove all this thing here and let me print in here, let me say looping, or whichever way you want to spell it, you can put your own word here. Now if I run this thing, this one will just be an infinite loop. It will just be running until I click terminate the program using this red button here. Let me run it again. See, the loop will be running until I end it. It will just become an infinite loop, just almost like the while loop, until I put first of all I put my loop, declare and initialize my variable, which will act as a loop counter for me. I can say int I, just what I did initially, and I assign a value of, let me assign a value of 0 to it, and I will say here, if I is less than 10, increment I, and print out, let me replace this thing with the value of I is, let me add I. So what I'm doing here is this, almost the same thing I did initially. I'm saying here the value of I is of type int, and the value is 0. Now if this I, which I declared here, is less than 10, increment this I, which is this I++, and print out the value of I at every stage of the loop. Now let's run this thing. The loop started from 0. Now the loop will run again, and it will add 1 to this 0, and it will become 1. The loop will run again, and it will add 1 again to this 1, and it will become 2, just like that. As the loop is running, it's incrementing itself, and it will get to a point where the loop becomes 9, and the next value after 9 is 10. At that point, this condition is no longer true, so this loop, for loop, is gonna end. So this is just, for loop is just a loop that accepts 3 arguments or 3 parameters. So the first one is the type and the value you have assigned to your value. Now the second one is the condition, and this condition must be true for this loop to run. And the third one is to increment the value which I have initialized here, and which I have declared and initialized here, and I've said that the value is, initial value is 0, and here I have increment this I. So this is just all about the for loop for now. So that's it for this tutorial.